All right. Welcome to Chilling with Breezy. Another episode where it's filled with life, love, and laughs. Today, I have a guest who is currently running for Attorney General of Illinois. I'm gonna tell you his first name, then I'm gonna let him introduce himself how he want to be introduced. This is Andy. I'm gonna let you get your last name and everything. I just
Yo, this is Andy, Hood Candidate Williams Jr.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the Hood Candidate comes as a whole generation. You know, we got to restore the neighbor back to the hood. You know, if you ever watch Mr. Rogers, you know, hello boys and girls, welcome to my neighborhood. So that's kind of like where that comes from. Also, for my faith-based believers, you know, Christ went into the hood. He went to where the people were. And so if we really want to see that evolution, you know, where we at today, you got to go to where the people are at. So that's the Hood Candidate. I'm bringing the politics into the community, kind of like from the Malcolm X Ballad of the Bullet speech. You know, we got to learn the politics of our community and not just vote for people in the community, but be the candidates that vote for ourselves in the community because we the people have the power. So that's a little bit about Andy Williams Jr., the Hood Candidate, and the campaign I'm running for Attorney General for the state of Illinois. Most importantly, to protect our freedoms, which is our birthright. A lot of times we look to the government to give us something, and that's not the role of the government. You know, that's us being self-governing, independent, empowered. Doesn't mean that people can't aid and assist us, but we shouldn't be asking the government to do anything but protect our rights. And our freedom is a birthright, and it's being infringed and deprived so long, we think that's natural. And I'm coming in pretty much to set the record straight and protect the rights of the people to be free.
Okay. And let's sit at that point real quick. Because when you say like just say dependency, right?
Mhm.
And then you say the freedom of the people,
Mhm.
right? Like explain how those two don't go together, like dependency and freedom,
Right.
as far as in place of the government.
So I think the best way to look at it is, you know, what we've learned about slavery. So
Mm-hmm.
you have the master on the plantation, then you have the enslaved.
Yeah.
The enslaved depended on the master, just like the master depended on the enslaved. And if the enslaved didn't do what needed to be done, the master would, you know, for whatever, do whatever it is. Again, I wasn't there. I just know what, you know, history has taught us. So now you're depending on somebody to do for you over and over again. And then when it comes to, um, you know, people who've been through that mindset and then essentially they feel like they're free, but you're afraid to talk about freedom because master has not approved of it, you know. So for me, when I talk about freedom, it's freedom of my conscience, freedom of my choice, as long as I'm not infringing upon somebody else's freedom. And that's really the role of government. But if you're depending on government to give you benefits, privileges, then you back on the plantation and now you're depending on a master. You cannot be self-sufficient. You cannot be, you know, independent and say, well, I want my freedom, my autonomy here, but then I want you to give me something over here.
Exactly.
No, that's not it. And again, we've been taught that. You know, we you know, I listen to people say, you know, we've been enslaved for 400 years. Not me. But
Exactly.
what if we talked about freedom for the last 400 years? So we only talk about the very thing we don't want, and we magnify that, and that becomes a giant. So what if we just only spoke about freedom, love, joy? For me, it's the fruits of the spirit. But if that became our conversation, then the narrative would change in our communities and our household, because now we have the power.
Exactly. And I like that point because I learned that from the Bible.
Right.
Um, you can't live in the past nor the future. You can only live in the present. And I always had this thing with why are we focusing on the past?
Right.
It becomes our future. Even when you look at the definition of the past and the future, you don't want to speak that into your present situation or even your future situation. Just do your best today. Be free today. Like you
Right.
say, had a
Right.
conversation today about freedom. Because that always it bothers me because when I look at it, I say, well, like you just mentioned, you want freedom, but then you want somebody to take care of you.
Right.
If I take care of you, you become my child.
Right.
And with my child, I can take the food off the table.
Mm-hmm.
I can demand that you do this and you do that. And if you don't, whatever it is, I can just take from you. I can give just to take.
Right. Right.
Right. And it's a controlling factor, and so I like that you mentioned that because it's definitely important as the Attorney General. And well, before I go there, what is the Attorney General?
So the Attorney General is the chief legal officer for the state.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the Attorney General is.
Yeah.
I could share everything the Attorney General and the job description, what that role entails. But I think what's the most important thing is the Attorney General is to protect the rights of the people, and that's what's missing, And so that's where I'm coming in saying, here's what I'm going to do. And one of the rights that the people have, one is being free, um, but the Bill of Rights is our property because we, the people, created the Constitution.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to say, we didn't create the Constitution is to take it back and say, well, you were enslaved. No, you look a little deeper. It was, Aboriginal people that had the identity that somebody stole that identity and then took it as theirs. But I'm not using that as a divisive thing. I'm not using that to say, here, specifically for the faith-based audience, because if God tells Abraham, your descendants going to be enslaved for 400 years, then that is a word that went out that has to come to pass. And every nationality has been enslaved at one point or another in history. Everybody has been that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, we don't have to be that way no more as a people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And so to do that, the Attorney General office is a nonpartisan office, even though I'm running under the Republican ticket based on the conservative values that I think a lot of us really believe in. We just have never been taught that. But again, you can be a Democrat and have conservative values too. So It's not like only Republicans have conservative values. That's mostly where it's at, though. So that's where, and again, it's more of a liberation in that, that party. But the role of Attorney General is to protect the people's rights, which is the Bill of Rights, which limit the government from infringing upon our rights.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah. And you're running for Attorney General of Illinois, so that's all the people.
Yeah.
Because I know we can get caught up in, like, when we say our people, you know what I'm saying? But as Attorney General, when you say our people, that's got to be Illinois. And it's like, and I say, like, because a lot of people don't understand that when you run for these positions, you, like, okay, protect human rights, right? Protect the people in this area. You're running for Attorney General of Illinois, so it's all of it, right? So it's like, I can't just be this and that.
Right.
And I think we have more in common than not. I think, in my opinion, this is not your opinion, Democrats are a little more divisive. So whereas when I talk to, like, a lot of Republicans, it's more, we're more alike than not.
Right.
So even in the area of slavery, People say we've been through 400 years of slavery and still going through right now. I say, well, if I'm still in slavery right now, which I feel like I'm not, right? Because it's in the mind, right? Before I learned about slavery up in school, I sat next to a white boy. He learned about it at the same time as me. It's just that we was shown in two different positions.
Right.
Now that either made him feel guilty, or he said, I ain't finna feel guilty. What I feel bad for, forget that. I'm not, right? Whatever, right? It either made me feel like a victim or it made me feel empowered in a way, right? But when you actually look at it as an adult, you say, well, it was one slave owner, the man, the wife, and their children, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you had the house Negroes. Outside, you had the overseers and the slaves. The overseers looked like slaves to me. And the house Negro looked like management. He could stop the overseer from whipping somebody. The house was the company. There's only one owner. Them outside were slaves. They might have called them slaves and overseers, but their teeth was rotting. They didn't know how to read.
Right.
That's why you had people like Nat Turner who was able to read and give direction through reading. They couldn't read.
Right.
So it's like when you look at the whole picture, if you're a part of the people, in a way, we're all the same as far as when it comes to slavery. So it's like, I think it's more, we gain more movement when we think of ways that we're alike.
Totally.
Right. So I just wanted to add that to it because I know you was like, it's about unity. You ain't really with the divisiveness.
No, I'm not. The Constitution says in the preamble, "We the people," and so the Second Chronicles 7:14 say, if my people are called by my name, will turn from their wicked ways. That means whoever turns from their wicked ways. And with the preamble to the Constitution, as well as Second Chronicles, it lets us know that we the people have the power.
Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to instill, is that we have the power.
Mm-hmm.
It's way more of us than the 535 people in Congress or the 118 here in Illinois, outside of the executive branch, that the 5 levels there, or the 5 positions there. We outnumber them.
Exactly.
It's 12 million people in Illinois, and you're letting a group in Springfield dictate your conscience, how you should live, what you should do. It's nothing wrong with them. It's something wrong with us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I come to bring to the table, to say, you know what? We have the power.
Yeah.
We have the power to change how we look at each other.
Yeah.
That's not on the ballot.
And then it's also important to point out that when you have a person, a candidate, I'm going to keep it at a person, but I'm speaking of a candidate that you can reach, that you can talk to. This is not a figure that's off in nowhere and they don't respond to the people that their constituents, the people that they serve, right? When you got a person that's willing to talk and hear you out, you have to respect that, because he's doing what he or she is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Right. A lot of these politicians, they've been lifelong politicians, to where they do not recognize with the normal people, the slaves of the world. They don't recognize. They feel like they can speak for them without having one of them at the table. And I think what you're bringing to the campaign, to the race, is that you're from where we're from. Like, you are naturally, you was born into this. Like, you're a voice that represents this.
Right.
Yeah, so
I like that you say there's a seat at the table, because a few of my colleagues took offense of why I chose to run as a Republican. It's very significant, the history of Illinois Republicans, because Illinois was the first state to ratify the 13th Amendment. Okay? That was a Republican Congress. Republicans held the House up until 1931. They were the main movement in Illinois prior to 1931. 1931 is where a Democratic mayor took Chicago, and it's been like that ever since, for the last 94 years. I'm merely just saying why we have this presumption, me guilty too, of thinking, hey, Republicans are this way. I'm actually now at the table and enjoying the meal. So it's like, whoa, because are there some people that I disagree with or disagree with me? Well, that's in our own families that happens.
Exactly.
So let's not try to make it seem like in politics, everybody has to agree, because that would be foolish to think that.
Exactly. That's the wrong way.
Yeah.
Because you need somebody to challenge your thoughts.
Right.
You can come up with a plan, but this is strictly from you. You need a challenge. You need, okay, what about this? What about that?
Right.
And if it can't stand that,
Right.
then you probably should be making decisions, because you
Yeah.
should look for critique.
Well, being out here in Joliet, I'm grateful for my brother Carl Farrell. Because
shout out to Carl. That's my boy.
Yeah, he said, "Look, Andy's the truth. When it comes to restoring the republic, he's not talking about he's about this." And he said, "Yo, he's got my vote." My brother Khalid London, one of the elders, like, man, Andy, that's my man. My brother Ed Ash out of Aurora, he said, I wouldn't care what party Andy was affiliated. I know his work, so I'm going on this guy based on what he's done for the community. A couple of my other friends would say, you the only one that we see that can divide politics from brotherhood.
Yep.
Your politics is one thing. I don't mess with you on that. But as my brother, man, I still got you on that. And that is something that was, it took some time to get to be able to do that, to separate the two.
Yep.
I am my brother's keeper, sister's keeper, because I'm one of the people. So I wish, harm to no one. Although that's a desire, don't always come out that way, because sometimes things happen. But I really see this position as not only representing the people, but teaching people about their rights and how to represent themselves. Because I'm a litigator. I done sued the state of Illinois 4 times.
Exactly.
So I'm a stickler for my rights.
Okay. And on that note, right, where you say you have sued Illinois, in favor of the people, like
100%.
You're representing the people. And I will ask you, what is if you want to talk about it, what's your opinion on Pritzker? For y'all who don't know, that's the governor of Illinois, and then the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson. Because I see it as a disservice to the residents of Illinois. And I would like somebody to fight that tooth and nail, but I want to hear.
Right. So for Pritzker, I don't know him personally, never talked to him personally. I know he campaigned maybe a time before about vocational schools, and that is yet to happen. Okay, at least I have not seen that happen based on the campaign trail. There's a different mindset that goes with the way he politics and his position, maybe based on how he grew up or his thought process. I do believe that a lot of the policies that I've seen him push, and there's been some positive things, so I don't want to say everything about Pritzker is bad. You're not going to get that from me.
Bad.
Right. But the overall, some of the things that he advocates and represents is contrary to our freedom and liberation as people, So, for instance, the abortion, you say that's okay, but then you don't release the people from prison that's been there 20, 30 years, and you have the power to do that. So it's not from the cradle to the grave. It's just from the cradle. You have the freedom of choice. But if you choose to keep the child, I'll keep that child enslaved, because that's what's happening. And it'd be a deeper conversation for those that want to pick it apart. Just call me on the show and we can dive into that, in a more eloquent way, because we're not here for that. Yeah. Now, Brandon Johnson, I think he gets a lot of heat for stuff, but he grew up in a certain environment, so he has a certain mindset. That mindset of giving and saying, well, tax the corporations, do all this other stuff, that is definitely not a limited government. And I met with Brandon Johnson because he did something about the gang database, which that's one of the reasons I sued the state of Illinois about the gang database and the RICO omnibus bill around people labeled as gang members. Um, nice guy when we met. The position, with him with the mayor, and I see again, there's positive things that's going on, but there's some things which I think a lot of people overlook this part. He said, I wanted more red light cameras to generate revenue. Those red light cameras are in certain communities. That is keeping people enslaved in their own community. So that's a low hanging fruit that I'm going to come at and attack that with that piece right there. And again, we learn certain things based on the environment we grow up in, the mindset we have, and both him and Pritzker are violating their oaths.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, and it's not just him and Pritzker, I'm going to tell you the majority of the elected officials right now are violating their oaths, but I'm more focused on those that are call themselves attorneys, them the ones that should be held to a higher standard and accountability because they know better. And I've sued judges and prosecutors. So those are the main ones that I'm looking at for that accountability part. But Pritzker and Johnson, I think we need as Malcolm said in the Ballad of the Bullet, I think we need to understand the politics of our community because we are very ill and misinformed about how government is supposed to work. Okay. And once we know that, I think then the scales will fall off people's eyes and then they'll see things from a different perspective. But we're only looking through one lens because that's the only lens we know to look through. So,
yeah, and I agree. I agree with all that. And I look at with Brandon Johnson. I see it like you see it. It's like you're using this to create revenue, but I will also throw in at the end of it is I always ask why. Why is it more taxation on the people? Why do the people need more fines? If you're a person of the people, that's not what you're looking for, right? So it's like, and when you answer that question, is because we're in the deficit or we're heading towards a huge deficit, right? If we keep going down this path, and that's why I wanted to ask you that your opinion on that because that directly affects the citizens of Illinois. Well, both what's going on in Chicago affect all of Illinois because they want Illinois to bail them out. And then the governor is pressing all these different taxes on us and then different fines, social media. And then when you start to tax the big corporations, because this is what a lot of people don't get. With large corporations, they'll say they should pay more, a large percentage of taxes. I say, why? They're employing people. And then with them, even if they're paying the same percentage of taxes that you're paying, they're still paying more than you would ever pay in a lifetime your kids would ever pay in 1 year. So I don't think people look at the actual number. They put the percentages up there to be confused. And it's like, this is what happened to America. This is how America went down. We went from a manufacturing company, and I know like where my granddad was able to raise a family of 6, and he's the person working. My grandma worked because she wanted to. Right. He was able to raise a family of 6 because he worked at Caterpillar, manufacturing. Great job. Today we didn't turn to a country of warehouses, and that's the lowest on the totem pole when it comes to industry, right? So it's like you steady run away big businesses. You kill the economy. America has done that. Now in Illinois, you're attempting to do that. And people don't connect the two, or we don't know enough.
Right.
So it takes people like you in positions to understand that and then go out there and fight for that. Even if people don't understand it right now, they'll get it or they'll benefit from it.
Right. We never underestimate the power of a seed. But what is happening when somebody says, I'm going to put these taxes on you and you're going to have to pay, that's legalized slavery. That's what that is. You are telling me you're making a decision and now 12 million people are responsible for your decision. That's the violation of the oath that I'm talking about. Because the 13th Amendment abolish slavery. But there's a section 2 to the 13th Amendment that says also everything that looks like slavery is abolished. Because I'm an expert on the 13th Amendment.
Oh, really?
I sued 31 states
Yeah.
under the 13th Amendment because of the prison condition is legalized slavery. And legalized slavery is when legislation is passed,
Mm-hmm.
because you could not enslave the free man. So then you created legislation, which is called the Badges and Incident of Slavery, or Black Codes, Slave Codes, Jim Crow. All of those are badges and incidents of slavery, which is Section 2 of the 13th Amendment. Okay? So when the governor, or just say, because we talking about that, says, well, I'm going to put these taxes on you. Wait, whoa. Didn't we, the people, create the government? We didn't agree to that.
Mm-hmm.
And the way to get around that is to amend the Constitution, because that's the power of we the people. If you want to make some change that contradicts the Constitution, that's, they use the word repugnant, where it is in conflict with the Constitution, that can only happen by a constitutional amendment that we the people do, not the legislators, because that's not your role.
It's not.
And we don't know that. That's why I'm saying a lot of times what people are advocating for or rallying in the street for, we just need to go to the courtroom. But I've been to the courtroom and the judges and prosecutor are violating their oaths. And that's why I'm saying, you know what? We got to rethink how we do this. Yeah. That's why I want us to be engaged in the politics of our community, so we can understand the issue is not so much with the legislators. The issue is more with the judges and the prosecutors. Because when elected, like when you hear me say I represent the people, well, that's the same role of the prosecutor. It's in the Rule 3.8 talks about the role of a prosecutor is to protect the rights of the people, including the defendant.
Okay.
So if you swear an oath or affirm your oath to uphold the Constitution, when legislation comes in, like possession of a firearm by a felon, because I'm litigating that right now. Mm-hmm. Article 1, Section 22 of the Illinois Constitution says the people have the right to bear arms. There's no exception clause for somebody labeled as a felon. Mm-hmm. That comes in the 1970 Constitution. The 1970 Constitution says if you've been convicted of a felony, you don't have the right to hold office. Yeah. That's important, because if we knew about the word felon in the 1970 Constitution, why that was not an exception clause to the right to bear arms? Why you didn't put that exception unless you're a felon? Yeah. So when the prosecutor comes in, because the 3 state's attorneys I have is DuPage, Kane, and Cook. They're the defendants as well as the whole state. But when that comes in, the prosecutor says, it's unconstitutional. And if the prosecutor doesn't do that, the judge does that, says, no, dismiss this case. We don't even have to bring it up, because the judge is supposed to be neutral arbitrator, act as the gatekeeper for the people's rights. And this is why it's so important to understand how government is supposed to work, not how it's working. And that's what I bring to the hood.
Yeah. And two, on that conversation, that topic, I think one of the main problems was when it came to getting a felony for having a firearm, mm-hmm. right, without a FOIA in Illinois, right. I did time, right, and just looking at going to the law library every day, right. I fought for myself, even though I had a lawyer. He wasn't on my side. I paid a lot of money. He wasn't on my side. I saw when he switched up on me, but I was in there every day. And I'm just seeing and I'm like, man, if we learn the law, we wouldn't be in trouble here. Mm-hmm. Because even with a firearm, as just say in our community, when you're young, you have somebody who came up with this bright idea that get a firearm and report it stolen, right? Or whoever, right? Mm-hmm. They do it like that, and it's like, so now when you get caught by the police, because it's inevitable, right? It's not the firearm that's going to give you the felony. That's a misdemeanor. I forgot which class misdemeanor.
Well, I don't know.
But it's the stolen the fact that it's stolen. If you
Right,
got a
right,
stolen TV, that's a felony.
right,
So I think that's how they kind of go around in a lot of those situations.
right.
So, but
Well, the state does not have standing. They're not the real party in interest.
because
Um,
it got to be a victim, right?
it's got to be a victim and an injured party, and in order for the state to be the plaintiff in any case, they got to show the connection. And I'm telling you, when the state is an advocate on behalf of the people, you violate due
It's
process.
a conflict of interest.
El correcto.
Yeah,
And
because you never understand. Like, I don't know how many people who's out there listening. Like, think about this: when you go get a public defender, right? Then you have the prosecutor. They both work in the same office.
and they're being paid. It's loosely when I say that, but they're being paid by the same entity. So there's a conflict, and there's a guy. I think he was out of California. He fought this so much, and they locked him up and did all. Just it was a mess, and he was a European brother, or pale skin is earth tone, whatever color I call him. And I share that because the patriots or whatever, they're more about our rights and the limited government.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking nobody to become a Republican. Zero. I'm not out here building no membership if you ain't already in there. What I am inviting is come hang out with me. Come to some of these meetings I go to. Will County, Christy Clausen, I think that's her name. Beautiful spirit woman, just phenomenal. Becky Nelson out of Yorkville, beautiful, beautiful. And I could go on. Ed Lipinski and his lady Amy. When I was missing the signatures requirement, they put clipboards together. Said, "Let's go to the bars. Have me out there 1:15, bro. I don't never be out that late," because they were so committed in this. Another guy who's very controversial in the Republican Party. He was like, "No, Andy, we need to get you. I normally charge. I even come out and help you with the signatures. We like." Because they saw the authenticity and what I bring to that. All I'm asking is some of my homies, colleagues, which I brought a few of the brothers in, a couple sisters, just come check it out.
Yeah.
But I'm not trying to convert you, because what I'm more interested in is that we take the positions in our community, because in certain communities, I don't give a doggone how conservative you are. You better be a conservative Democrat, because you will not have a chance, because the spirit of the community is not ready to hear that word.
Yeah.
It's just not ready, So we have to use wisdom, because essentially, and I'll go back to this, it wouldn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican. What matters if you uphold your oath when you affirm it.
Yeah.
That's what the big deal is. That right there. Because when you are held accountable for violating your oath, we have a republic form of government, which is limited, not a Republican, a republic form of government. Because you could be in another state, and I would not possibly would roll the way that I roll as I can do in Illinois, because the politics of a different state could be similar to the Democratic policies in this state. And they could be a Republican. So it's not like I'm anti-Democrat, pro-Republican. I'm anti-oppression, pro-freedom.
And we do ourselves a disservice when we pick a side.
Yeah.
It's like gang culture. Stop picking a side. The Republicans and the Democrats are only opponents when it's election time, during election, when people are campaigning. That's all. After that's over with, whoever wins, they are, just say in this case, the Attorney General. Andy is the Attorney General at this point. It's not time to be like, well, I didn't like. No, you reach out to him and try to get some stuff done. Whatever when you look up your issue and he can solve it, or he's the one, you go to him.
Right.
He's not your opponent. He's here for you. That's what they should be, no matter what.
Yeah.
So we gotta stop that. Let's get out of gang culture.
But I call it political gang banging.
Yeah.
It's political gang banging, and the difference about the political gang banging in politics, especially for the community, none of the leaders are our leaders. So that's the bigger issue,
None of them.
Because I come up through growth and development. I'm part of the legal team for Jeff Ford, Chief Malik. So I'm in a real element of really doing stuff. And I just like, at least if you gonna be banging or something, these are the leaders of the community, for that. Not the politics, but unless we go back to the natives. So then
Yeah.
that's a different thing because I'm part of the legal team for Leonard Peltier. Went to Turtle Mountain and kicked it with him. Like it's just amazing what for
You said
me
what
what
was it
God.
again?
So Leonard Peltier, he's a Native American that was
Okay.
locked up for 49 years. Joe Biden commuted his sentence um, in January, and I actually was at his house in the Dakota Turtle Mountain. Well, where he doesn't, it's there. He lives right there in that same community. But I was out there, and
Can you
uh,
say his name again? Sorry about
Leonard
that. Leonard.
Lenoard Peltier.
Okay.
Yeah, he bro. That's he's an international figure, and I broke bread with him. Was out there for a few days with the firm that I work with, and so it's just like Andy really does this type of work, bro. This ain't no listen. I'm here for this. I sued Trump during the COVID mandates, but not because I was opposed to him, because I wanted him to do his job because the state of Illinois was infringing upon religious freedom with the mandate. So I was like, hey, I'm doing a mandamus saying I just feel like you DOJ, which is Attorney Barr, whatever his name was at that time, or it could have been Jeff Sessions. I know Barr was because I wound up suing Barr, but prior to that. So I'm actually about our rights and big on Article 1, Section 3 of the Illinois Constitution that deals with religious freedom because nothing comes before that.
Yeah.
So,
And the world is ran by theology.
mhm.
Because they get you to believe in something, and that's where even that political game ain't come from.
Right,
Because
right.
once they understand what you believe in, they create it. Like it's like a customer. I mean, it's like a business. They find a need, and they create the product,
Mhm.
right? So it's like it's theology. So
Right.
I definitely agree with that, right? And so on the Native Americans, when you say you break bread, when you broke bread with them, like how does that benefit the people like in that area? Like,
So in Illinois, before it was, so Illinois got its name from the native, uh, it was called Illinois, and I'm probably saying it wrong. It's
okay,
even on the song we did, but it's Illinois. That's who was here first, you know, and so it benefits them because it's kind of like reversing the curse, giving the land back to Mother Nature.
okay,
That's why. And so
okay,
if we're gonna, for me, I call it reversing the curse. I can't get like if I'm right here, I can't get to the beginning of the line while I'm going back. I got to take that trail,
yeah,
and so that's what I'm able to do. Take that trail, and again, I'm speaking of Illinois. They gave the land back down there in Shawnee to the natives. I think it was last year because they had stole the land. If you know the history of the Black Hawks, the Tomcats, all this, they are all native names. Cherokee. You just got to see what's happening, and then if we get a little more deeper into the natives, the Aboriginals, Indigenous, you're gonna see we're all of the same kind
hmm,
because the people are the people.
yeah,
Whatever shades you have, whatever paint job you have, we're still Neapolitan. We're all still blended here.
hmm,
So I'm sharing the history of what's been taught, but I don't use this history from a divisive or oppressive conversation.
yeah,
That's what I'm not doing. I'm not going to do that. Don't associate that with me. My stepmom is German, aka you to be considered white. My wife is Puerto Rican. Like I'm not into this oppressive thing because of your nationality, national origin, or nothing like that. We are the people, and I
hmm,
think, as you alluded to earlier, we have a lot more in common. We just don't take the time to sit at the table with each other.
exactly. Because
Yeah.
one person. I don't want to make it bring it back to politics for this statement. One person always will have this attitude of I don't like you. And it's
Right.
like, no, you don't like my opinion or my perspective. You don't know me,
Right.
right? And it's okay if you don't like my opinion or my perspective. Let's find something that we can agree on that we both can like to work together on
Right.
because you can't get everything.
Right.
And I
Right.
think that's we get sidetracked too. We want everything, so then we accept the things that we feel are the best things, and we get told what's best for us
Right.
in a lot of instances. So it's like we get told what's best, then they say we got it for you,
Right.
instead of getting with your people, we the people,
Right.
and finding that commonality. Because you see, you go to the same jewels I go to, you go to say wherever
Right.
Mariano,
Right. Right.
wherever that we got something in common.
Right.
You know, they don't.
Right.
So how can they speak for us?
Correct.
Right. I want to to the safer community side of things. That would be your job, right? As Attorney General. What would be your plan to create a safer community? Because I don't think no community inside of the overall community would say that they don't need a safer community.
Right. So, Article 1, Section 11 of the Illinois Constitution is the right to rehabilitation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, people get locked up, they're supposed to be rehabilitated. The way they get rehabilitated is vocational schools and the trades, life skills, which Kewanee Prison does that, Murfreesboro, I think Danville is starting to do it now. But that vocational school is how we create a safer community. And I'll give this example. You look at Harvey right now, bro. I was down there at the senior independent living facility down there,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking at all these abandoned buildings. So you take one of those buildings and you turn it into a vocational school, you teach the trades, and now you rebuild the community like Black Wall Street. Now that people are being employed, all right, you balance out that budget because the taxes out there in Harvey is ridiculous. It's like you go to the most poorest communities and charge them the most.
Yep.
Okay, so once that all balances out, we go back to the story you talked about Caterpillar. Now you got one person in the job household working because they can afford it, and now you're building up family.
Exactly.
That's how you do it. You take the down south farmers, and then you bring the farming up here up north, and now you got butcher shops again. All this is going on in the prisons right now.
Yep.
So that's how we begin to bring the north to the south. We meet for economic base. You use the hemp that in Illinois you can cultivate it every 6 months, and now you bring that in trade, and that's how you're going to bring safer communities because we're no longer um, as we say, they're in the debt rat race, behind the 8 ball, trying to get this generational wealth based on some false sense of security with this fiat money. The wealth is in the land.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we create a public safety. And if you think it's going to happen overnight, you're grossly mistaken. However, in Chicago, that will be the main target area. And Peru, just real down south, because there's a lot of poverty, meth, and all that stuff. But Chicago, because you have all these anti-violence organizations. So what you do with those anti-violence organizations that are social entrepreneurs setting up social enterprises, you scale those models and take them across the state. That's what you do. There's a honeybee place, I think in Lawndale. In fact, Cliff Nellis out of Lawndale, he's Lawndale Christian College. I mean Lawndale Christian Center. They got the whole neighborhood, bro. They like there's dentists out there, healthcare. I can't think of the pastor's name, the hip hop pastor out here. Me and him, I'm part of Curtis Blow organization, and I just seen him the other day. But he's out there, and I say that because they have a model that works.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Winston has a model that works. He has a grocery store and different things. Those are the grocery stores we put in Harvey, Hazelcrest, Markham. You see what I'm saying? And now we're bringing an economic base back up here that's owned by the people. And that's how, and I'm not saying these are the exact ways to do it because, again, I look at numbers and sometimes I think because you can charge more in these certain areas, you come in and do that. That's not what I would do from the economic side. I would come in and say, yeah, I can make a 10% profit, but I don't want a 50% profit.
Exactly.
Because I want to keep it in the community. And that's the motto of Black Wall Street. So once you employ people, they're too busy to do anything. You ask me, I've been to prison. And I sold dope. I didn't go to prison for that. I beat that case because I got in the law library. But how do you stop a criminal from being? How do you stop an individual from committing crimes? Keep him occupied with what he's passionate about. You got a studio, you got a podcast. Other people are artists. Music, so much stuff we can do. And once people discover what they're good at and they love that, that's their assignment. Just a side note, this is the first time I think in 90 years there's been no treasurer for the Republican Party.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody asked me, Andy, would you, run for treasurer? You could be a write-in candidate. Maybe they'll slate you. That's not my assignment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be in something that I'm not. I don't want a position of power. I am an advocate, a minister of justice. So the only role that I'm qualified for is the attorney general. There's no other role, or the U.S. attorney.
Yep.
This is the last campaign. I'll never campaign again. I would only be in the positions I'm in if I'm appointed, because I want to teach now.
Okay.
But I'm just side note, because somebody was saying, hey, you should be the treasurer, and that's not who I am.
Exactly.
But once you discover who you are, you don't get
purpose.
distracted from that.
Your purpose.
Right.
And that's how I look at it too. Like poverty breeds violence.
Mm-hmm.
But when you take a deeper look into poverty, it's all like misdirection, without
Mhm.
purpose. They're trying to find themselves. This look cool. I think I might like it. And all that. So yeah, you give people a purpose. You give people something to live for.
Right.
And then I know you mentioned the non-for-profits, and earlier we talked about the positive thinking, the upside of things, right? I even look at with violence prevention. My mentor, he's non-for-profit violence prevention, and he's one of the bigger people in Chicago. He's from here. He's big. He's a big deal though, and he taught me so much to the point where I'm like, I don't belong here, because it's like even though I've been in prison,
Right.
like you said, your purpose, my purpose is not violence prevention, or because violence prevention, once you learn about it, it's more so of post conviction.
Right.
But I want pre conviction. I want to stop it from happening.
Right.
So I think too, if we focus on that side of things more, because right now, in non-for-profit, I mean, you can have a budget and you can create violence. You can be creative, right? And then money get poured there.
Right.
For violence prevention.
Right.
And it's incentivized. So we can't say that it's not happening. I only can imagine that it happens more than it don't.
Right.
Because in America, we incentivize being messed up, for lack of better words.
Mm-hmm.
Through, like, just say housing, Section 8, EBT. You get help when you don't got nothing. When you got something, or you got a little bit of something, you don't meet that threshold, you get no help. That prepares you up the next level. It's like that mentorship. Like when you name everything that stops the violence, or kills violence in the community, one of them is mentorship too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mentor you to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's like, I just wanted to throw that in there. I don't know if that's in the realm of Attorney General. Like, I know with the influence of a position like that, I'm sure it can, like, talking to non-for-profit agencies and kind of.
Right. So it is, because it protects the rights of the people.
Mm-hmm.
And because of where I come from and my lifestyle, that's very important. Like you said, I represent all the people. That's just what it is. But I'm not going to overlook certain communities because I'm in this position. I'm not in the position to conform to the way that politics is. I'm here to transform.
Yep.
That's what I am. And I always share about the Amish people. They do not conform. They stay their traditional ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying they're perfect, but if we was to look at a model, kind of like when you look at Job, they're a perfect model. They can build a house 2-3 days. Like, they're a community. They do that. They live that. You don't see them all over the news. I met this guy Amos Miller from Miller Farms in Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. Yeah, it's Philadelphia, and he was using his ministry to feed his members.
Yeah.
And then the government comes in, they fined him $100,000 and all this. So when I wind up talking to him, he had to go to somebody's house next door because he don't have a phone. Like I had to call the neighbor next door, and then somebody was helping him, and he's like, "Hey, I got it." But I spoke to him back in 2020.
So did they find him in response to him feeding his people?
They fined him because his farm was not FDA approved. And that's where I'm saying the government comes in and infringes upon your rights. If you're a member of my ministry,
Yeah.
okay, I'm totally set apart from the government.
It's like I can share this with you. I don't need
Right.
regulations.
Correct.
I'm sharing.
Correct. And that's the government infringing upon our unalienable rights.
Yeah.
And so it was in the federal court. They didn't honor that. And again, these are the things that I'm educating the community about. Like, look at what these people is doing. And like it or not, there's some accountability in the Trump administration with those that don't uh, follow his executive orders, for better terms, which executive orders are not the law. But, I like the fact that he holds the people accountable.
Yep.
That's the bigger thing that I'm saying, that accountability.
Mm-hmm.
In Hebrews 12:6, the Lord disciplines those who he loves, because we all been like sheep and go astray. How do you get them back astray? With the rod. I'm not saying you beat somebody, you take the rod and you guide them back. If there's no guidance back in the way of government, now you have a tyrannical government.
Yeah.
But we, the people, have the right to alter, reform, abolish, and to create a new government. And so in this role that I'm doing, regardless of the outcome, that's the energy that I'm moving for. A new government where freedom is the mandate, because we, the people, have the power.
Exactly. Okay. I like that. And that was the reason for my question before we got live, when I say, where is your guidance from?
Right.
That's why I asked that, because you need the ride, and like we say, figuratively.
Right.
You need that, because without that, you will go far left, far right, instead of centered, grounded, in whatever your original mission was. I like that you pointed out your mission,
Right.
your purpose, and whatnot. I think that will do some justice for the people who are watching.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And is there anything specifically you want, like, that we didn't cover, that you want to?
No, I think this was good. If there's one thing that I would really want the people in Illinois specifically, is to read the Constitution. Listen, read the Constitution. I think it's 1 through 23. Know what those Bill of Rights are. That's what you know, and study that to show yourself approved. Because when you understand that, it'll shift your mindset to be like, whoa, we've been hoodwinked, we've been bamboozled, duped. You guys ain't even supposed to be doing what y'all doing. And that's where you see Pritzker is out of order.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? But let's not just say Pritzker, because again, this is across the board
and across the aisle.
Yeah, this is a nonpartisan problem.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what I say. I'm not running as the Attorney General for the Republicans. I'm running as Attorney General for the people. That includes Republicans, Democrats, straight, everybody, just the people. I don't got to go name a who, whatever. But I do have a very strong drive for the current and formerly incarcerated. Like that. Listen, Hebrews 13:3, visit those in prison if you was there with them. I run a prison ministry right now, Set Free. And just on a side note, my prison ministry, although it focuses on the current and formerly incarcerated, it also talks about bondage without bars. Because there's people here that are in bondage, not even in prison, that is preaching sermons on Saturday and Sunday. So let's just keep it real. This ain't this here when I talk about prison. I am talking about mental, physical, and spiritual prison.
Yes.
So, that's not on the ballot. That's not something this is who I am. And that's why this role is so relevant, important to me, because this is who I am naturally. This is what I do all day, every day.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I feel that.
So read the Constitution, Google it, it'll show up. You can go on my website, Andy for AG .us, or Facebook, anywhere. Find me. I will send you a beautiful copy of the Illinois Constitution that gives footnotes, that breaks everything down. We will start holding these virtual constitutional classes, because that's why I said I will never run again, because I want to teach. I want to teach people about the rights and the power that we have. We say power to the people. I say no, we the people have the power. You can't give me something I already have.
Exactly. Most people are lacking this knowledge. And I came from the growth and development too.
Okay.
And I understand that knowledge is what was pushed.
Man,
It's
you
knowledge.
telling me. Yes.
Because knowledge will set you free.
Right.
And me being a Christian, right, I understand that the first level of knowledge is the fear of God.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's the most powerful, because
Right.
I don't fear people.
Wow, that's dope.
So it's like when people try to fear me into something or scare me into something, you should vote for me, because if not, Trump's going to put you in slavery. I'm like, you trying to scare me? I don't scare easy. I got faith in God.
Right.
That's the only thing that I fear, and I fear that over you. And I think that's what makes a Christian dangerous to the world. Right. But it's like, I think even if people aren't Christians, you should adopt some kind of belief that allows you to remain independent of the world. Don't political gangbang.
Right.
Remain independent.
Right.
Be loyal to you.
Right.
Look at policy. Look at what these candidates say that they're going to do and hold them to it.
Mm-hmm.
And when they don't, acknowledge it. Even if the only thing you can do is make a post about it, make a post about it.
Right.
Because that stuff get analyzed. A lot of people don't understand the power of social media. They go on there, they start something up, they go on there and look and see how long. Okay, are they accepting of it yet? Yes, no, okay, no. Let's push some more. Let's figure it out. It's hard data. So even if you could just make a post, it's like, hold them to it.
Right.
Don't let somebody go in there and make you feel good by saying a whole bunch of nothing. Make you feel bad into this.
Right.
Because that's not the way. The truth and what's needed it always feel good, right? But it's not it's not focused on your feelings. It's just the truth. It resonates somewhere in you. And you have to recognize that, and you have to, when you say self-love, you have to understand what's self-love, what's love, right? It is punishing. It is, it's not just a fluffy feeling, right? It comes with discipline and everything. Like, it comes with all that a lot of people want to dodge. You have to understand what it is. So when they're pushing something, it should be surrounded around love.
Right on.
Right. And not the feeling.
Right.
So pay attention to what resonates with you as an individual. And that's how you choose who you're going to vote for this election. If Mr. Andy Williams, name on the ballot, if he resonates with you, you pick that. Don't let the feeling of, oh, he's a Republican, and I've been voting for a Democrat since I was 18. Right. Oh my God, it just hurt my soul. I rock with him. I heard him on Chilling with Breez, and he understand what he's talking about. And he's a real person. But that red is just, I grew up growth and development. I can't, hold on. Knowledge. It's knowledge.
Right.
Understand, it has to benefit you. Because when we elect people like him, his job is to serve you. So you do yourself a service and pick what serves you as an individual.
I know.
Right? And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the conversation.
Sure.
I love great conversation, and you're welcome back whenever. I don't care what the conversation is about. Yeah. If you want to push it out, when you spoke on the teaching of the Constitution, I'd like to be a part of it.
For sure.
Right? I know you starting I'm not gonna really put it out there unless you
Yeah,
want
I
to.
am starting the Andy Williams Jr. show.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be the Freedom Matters. That's what it's gonna be
Yeah.
about. And I'm teaching the rights of the people. It's really politics, religion, and prison. So those are main three
Yeah.
topics I'm teaching on.
And then with the Constitution, you're gonna be. That's where the platform is gonna be on, or are you?
Uh, there's going to be a segment about it. I think the Constitution, it might be a separate thing from the podcast,
Okay.
because that's something that I feel like, hey, register. I'm teaching it, whatever, 2 weeks. I don't know. There's these school courses and
Yep.
stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Somebody told me it's one that's a lot simpler, or I don't know. And I wrote it down. I didn't look into it yet, but I am definitely going to have all of this stuff set up by 2026.
Yep.
Everything I've been working on for years now is coming to fruition, and I see how to uh, duplicate what I do. I thought, hey, you got to be here everywhere, and I'm like, that's not going to work. And
Mm-hmm.
I think this campaign getting on the ballot showed me how many people support. You know, again, there's a lot of
Yep.
positivity around politics, and I found a network to say, what, I can build this.
You build it, and it's surrounded with freedom.
Yeah, totally,
Like
totally.
we know that we're not voting for a slave master.
Yeah,
Because learning the your
yeah,
constitutional rights, along with the Bill of Rights, because the Bill of Rights is the amendments. I'm not.
yeah.
It's the amended.
So yeah, the First Amendment, Second Amendment,
Yeah.
That's the Bill of Rights.
Exactly. And the amendments come later on.
Yeah,
Like you can do an amendment right now,
do.
right? And understanding that, it, understanding that, the knowledge of that in itself, without even Andy teaching this, it gives you a sense of freedom in your mind from government, because this is guidelines, like we say, the ride. This is the ride for the government. This is, hey, don't get out of line, government, in favor of the people.
Right on.
Right? So that's freedom. If he's saying he's going to teach you guys the Constitution, understand that's teaching you how to be free, how to think like a free person, how to enjoy freedom. So, you got my support.
For sure.
Like I said, I appreciate it. You're welcome back anytime, and
Definitely.
and whenever you do something, I like to be a fly on the wall. You know what I'm saying? Be a part of it if I can, but I don't always have to be in the picture. I like being behind the scenes. So if you need somebody to work something behind the scene,
I do.
I play my role too. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So, I wish you the best of luck. I'm gonna pray for your blessings from God. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna pray for you, and I hope that this get done how it's supposed to.
Right, right.
Right. And any last words?
If you want to check me out, like I said, www.andyforag.us. Social media, Andy Williams, Hood Candidate. You'll find me all over right there. Just Google my name, it'll pop up.
Yeah.
So,
okay. And y'all, it's been an episode. Y'all share this. Like and share it. Take the time out to listen to everything. Rewatch it. Sit and watch it with your families, because elections are important, because this is who creates the energy of your everyday life, right? Because the moves that they make, it can even piss you off every morning you wake up, or it can make you feel great every day you wake up. I mean, even though you're ultimately in control of that, but it plays a part. So share this, have a talk with y'all family, put aside the differences, come together for you personally. All right, and that's all. We're gonna get out of here. It's been one, chilling with Breezy.